My question to the panel is, do you think that African Americans in America itself are ready for an African American president?
Well, if we're not ready now, I don't think we ever will be. Um, if we look back through history in terms of the right to vote, that's been one that's a lot of blood, struggle, has endured over centuries in terms of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments as far as abolishment of slavery, as far as due process of law, as far as privileges and immunities. In terms of black people, that's a right that we have earned not only it's an entitlement, and we're entitled to it. So as far as our leaders, people like Reverend Jesse Jackson have before been candidates, and Barack is a charismatic figure within the Democratic Party in terms of his vision. I think he's a young person, a person who has principle, which is, in my opinion, kind of rare as far as politics is concerned. He has values. He has, as I mentioned, he has vision. He's an individual that also has respect among African Americans and people of color throughout this country. So for us not to not only support him, but not to consider him as being a viable candidate, I think that would be a grave mistake.
Well, I don't know. Part of me, I can't say, whether or not Black America or America as a whole is ready for him. I doubt America as a whole will ever be fully ready for a black president, to be honest with you. But with respect to him getting into the candidacy, or him legitimately looking at this as a possibility for his political career, I can say that I like it because he hasn't been invaded with the evils of politics, as we all know that they are behind closed doors. And he's only been in politics for a short time at the national level, of course, since 2004. But I would hate to see him inherit all the problems that have been started by the Bush administration, to be honest with you. And I believe you were saying that a little bit earlier. Iraq, Social Security, health insurance, like all the problems that the Bush administration has done. I wouldn't want to see the first black president have to deal with all of that BS. Honestly, that's a huge play. I mean, as much as I love and support Barack, I do have to look into a little bit more about who he is again. I don't really know him as well as I should. I need to read more about him, but I'd like to support him, but I'm worried.
Right.
Yeah. I think Barack would be a good representative, considering how black people are depicted throughout the world. I think he brings a certain demeanor and charisma, and he will be looked upon as a representative for the African American community. And I think he's a good person to do it. I mean, I've read some of his books. I think he has good values, and I think is what we need as African Americans.
What do you think we need to hear from him as African Americans in order to endorse him? Not simply just because he's an African American. What do we need to hear from him?
I think first and foremost, we need to hear from him, how he's going to close the very many divides that exist between our community. And he doesn't even have to, because maybe if he starts talking with that rhetoric, he's going to scare off a lot of white folks. But he could simply say how he's going to close the divide of disparities between the classes. You know what I'm saying? Because that puts in that puts poor whites in the same ballpark. That puts many blacks, many Hispanics in the same ballpark. And so I would like to hear him really talk clearly and loosely about what he's going to do domestically. And you know what? I kind of slightly disagree with you, because if he and my vetting is not even touched the surface yet. So I still have to vet all of the candidates before, because I take voting very seriously. So just because somebody is pretty and polished doesn't necessarily mean that he's the best candidate. Because when George Bush was running, they were saying he connects with the ordinary folks, and look how he's turned out. And so my vetting is with him is not completed yet. What I see from him and what I know from him, I'm very, very impressed. But what I disagree with you on a little bit is that if at the end of this vetting, and I say, wow, this guy is very impressive. This guy is it's not just a dynamic speaker, but he's a dynamic leader, and he can do great, great things. As unfortunate as it is in terms of what the next president, he or she, is going to inherit, I would rather see somebody that is completely qualified, that is a strong leader, inherit those type of problems than somebody that's not qualified. Because if somebody is not qualified inherits those, then it's just going to exacerbate an already bad situation. And whether America as a whole is ready for him, I'm not sure, because we already see that America knows very little about this guy, and you can already see what the conservative media has already started to do. Rush Limbaugh, about 3 weeks ago, on his radio program, knows nothing about him, and I highly doubt that if Barack Obama was a white candidate, that he would go to this level. He's gone to childish and sophomoric levels by calling him Barack Hussein Obama. He won't even give the man his respect and call him by his rightful last name. He called him Barack Hussein Obama, and then went to another level and said he's one Saddam away from being Saddam Hussein. You know what I'm saying? And so that type of rhetoric, and looking at the viewership or the listenership that Rush Limbaugh has, and that pretty much they're all sheep because they follow along. You know what I'm saying? People that listen to his show regularly pretty much fall in line with the way he thinks. And so that's kind of an indictment of you know, what's out there in terms of the perception that some people have about him.
I agree with what you said. I didn't mean to say that. I would love for. See, I don't know. I'm on the fence still, but one thing to add to what the question was, one thing I would like to see him say would be to end the corporate control of politics, to limit the amount of corporations and the amount of contributions that corporations can make. Lockheed Martin contributed $2.2 million to political candidacies in 2004. Families of four cannot compete with $2.2 million. You know what I mean? So a cap on that, to limit the media's freedom of lying. I mean, and there was a case in 2003, the media can knowingly lie. I think that needs to change, and I wish Barack could bring some of these issues to the table. Ending the No Child Left Behind Act, I mean, that is leaving children behind, as we all know. He needs to, I would love to hear him talk about the prison industrial complex, and we touched on that a little bit. Ending the financial incentive to creating bodies in prisons. We need to really look at the poverty issues that contribute to crime, and not beat around the bush and just put more cops on the street.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. What if a Republican candidate, such as John McCain, said all of those things that you wanted to hear,
I wouldn't believe him.
and Barack Obama didn't say those things, or Hillary Clinton? Would you be persuaded to vote Republican?
No, because I look at his record. I look at his record. I look at his record. The precedent has already been set, and so just being kind of a skeptic, and somebody who likes to vet things before I make some type of decision on things, I would look at, if it was somebody that was established already, who was put in, over 20 years of public service, like McCain, I would just basically look at his past record, and his past record speaks volumes for itself. And so I would say, you're clearly doing what has made a lot of folks become disenchanted with the whole political process. You're basically lying on your platform. Once you get elected, we can probably expect you to change your ways. If it was somebody that was unproven, that's a tough question.
Unproven Republican candidate.
Man, that's a touchy situation, man. I don't know, man. It's it's hard to fathom. I think that the black community is ready for a change, period. But I think the black community is ready for a black president or whatever. But I don't know if society is ready for a black president.